How to lift weights to grow muscle. This video we're going to uncover when you are picking your exercises, what you should do and why, and which ones are going to yield you the best results so you can be more deliberate and more efficient with your time. Because I really think motherfuckers, or when I see people in the gym, they're not really training with intent. They haven't thought about why they're doing certain exercises, and they're kind of just copying the flow of the gym, which you're not going to get to the end goal by accident. So let's put some hard clarity on it. Why I'm worth a listen is this is how I used to look in 2020, and this is how I looked as of yesterday. Just your average check-in photo. Appreciate the sunlight. The sunlight is shadowing, so maybe I could have taken a better photo, of course. And also, this is the type of results that I get people within my coaching program. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tom Sergi, and I run the Gorilla Platoon, a physique online transformation course. Now, if you're returning to the channel, thank you for coming back, but also you're probably thinking, motherfucker, you show me this every day about your results, and I'm like, yeah, the reason I do show people results right at the start is because I want you to know, at least 1 minute into the video, that you're listening to someone that can actually deliver results on the information that I'm going to give you. I can give you the knowledge, but if I haven't got any results to show you, you're like, yeah, it's nice, but like, does it work for you? Can you show me proof? And that's why I like to start with a bit of proof. So 1 minute in, you're like, cool. This motherfucker is going to tell me some advice. This is the results it's got. I'll probably stick around and listen. Or, fuck this motherfucker, I'm not listening anyway. Now, my promise to you, by the end of this video, you will know how to lift weights properly to build muscle. And you will also know what exercises to select for your program. And that is really, really important. Why this video was made. People are training without intent, without reasoning, without rationale behind their program. Most people, if they follow a program, that's probably better than what 50% of the people in the gym are doing. In fact, let's go back a step. So at least 50% of people in the gym are probably just going in there and they don't understand the concept of like, well, I need to train my chest, my shoulders, my arms, my chest, back, boom, 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 boom. But they just pick some exercise at random. They don't really log and record it. They just lift it and then they'll go back in, and then the next week they'll probably not even do the same exercise. They'll do a different exercise, and they'll just keep chopping, changing shit up with no structure and they'll train a muscle group, but there'll be no recording of reps. There'll be no progression. They'll pick exercise at random because someone's on their machine that they used last time and they won't wait, or ask them how many sets they got left, or ask if you can jump on in with them. And ultimately then wonder why progress is so fucking slow. Now, the next block of people are following a program which they found somewhere from someone that they thought was quite interesting. But again, even then, they don't understand why the program is the way it is. They're like, it makes sense. It's got the exercises for the certain muscle groups. But actually, there's a lot missing to that. Like, I could sit them down, I could get them to show me their program and go, why are you doing this exercise, specifically this exercise, and what are you going to get out of doing this exercise? And they'd be like, my back? And it'd be like, generally yes, but like, what part of the back are you actually trying to train, and is that an area that you actually really need to focus on? Have you assessed your physique objectively? Now, these people generally, and myself included to be honest, I'm in a gaining phase, more muscle everywhere, of course, but like objectively, more chest, more upper traps, more arms. Absolutely. But like most people, more muscle everywhere, me included, more muscle everywhere. But specifically, if you've got those weaker areas, have you specifically pinpointed them and you know how to train them correctly? Because I just think people are seeing what everyone else does. Oh, everyone's deadlifting, I must deadlift. Even though, why? Like, why are you deadlifting? Or everyone's back squatting, that's the holy grail of leg day. Or everyone's back squatting, I must back squat. Why do you need to back squat? And I really think it's important to uncover the difference between training for strength versus training for hypertrophy. If you are going into the gym just to get strong overall and lift as much weight as possible, A, get off the channel, because that's not what I'm here to teach, but B, then your training program will look completely different to someone that is looking to just get bigger. If you are looking to get bigger and you're training specifically for hypertrophy, your main goal is to pick that target muscle, to put all the tension onto the target muscle and absolutely toast the target muscle until it's fucked. And to do that again and again and again. If you're training for overall strength, then you're looking to, it's not the muscle you're focusing on, it's the load. And you want to move as much load as possible from A to B with as much muscle fibers as possible. So when you do a deadlift for strength, it's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. You pretty much use everything from your eyeballs down to your toes to get that weight from the floor stood back up. Great strength exercise. Is it good for hypertrophy? Well, tell me what muscle groups specifically we're pinpointing. And you could go all of them, but like, can you really train all muscles at once with the intent to get them bigger? Probably not. Most people also don't really have the strength and the coordination to actually maintain good form through a rep range of, let's say, anywhere from 8 all the way up to 15 on a deadlift. Could they do it for 1 to 5 reps? Yeah, I think so. Because, again, that global fatigue, the time and attention of actually doing it would be a hell of a lot less. The same for a back squat. Now, back squat is not a bad exercise for legs. Of course it's not. But if your goal is to grow big quads, not just get strong overall, is there different options you could have looked at? Did you need to do a back squat? Is your lower back going to fail before your quads? Are you going to sit here and tell me that your lower back is stronger than your quads? Because if it is, you've been doing something hellily wrong. So then realistically, we must think, well, if my back is the limiting factor here, but I want bigger quads, what could I do in this situation? Maybe I could support my lower back and I could just focus on the target muscle. The same would go for a bench press. Now, bench press, good exercise. Good exercise. Well, in fact, we'll come on to bench press in a minute. I've got a bone to pick with that. But the point I'm making with this is, are you training for overall strength? Because your exercises will look different. Because you're training for overall strength, you may as well be more efficient with your exercises and do exercises that challenge the globally your body. Whereas if you're training for hypertrophy, we're picking this exercise to grow this muscle to get this response out of it. Everything is done with intent, and that's what I want you to come up with in this video. So we're going to go through the exercise selection test. This is not an official test. It's kind of something I just came up with myself, but it's something I use when I'm structuring people's programs, when I'm picking exercises for myself. So the first thing we want to discuss, bearing in mind, the goal here is to build a specific muscle. Okay, we're here to train a specific muscle. The goal is to train only that muscle because we want to get it bigger, because for the vanity reasons, we want to just look fucking sick. Like, let's be honest, that's why we do it. So the first thing you need to think of is this exercise stable? Now, going back to, let's say, back squat versus a hack squat, which one is more stable? The back squat where there's no stability on a back squat. You've got the barbell and your feet on the floor. They're the 2 points of contact to the load and the surface. Whereas a hack squat, you've got your shoulders are on the pad, your whole of your torso is on the pad, and then your heels are on the foot pad. You could also lean back against the hack squat, so there's even more support. Versus, obviously, if you lean back on a barbell back squat, you're going to fall over and fucking prolapse your own arsehole out. So, which one is more stable? You would want it to be more stable because of the analogy I'll use is like a light bulb. If you have a light bulb, most of them will say something like 97% energy efficient, which means 97% of it will come out in light and 3% will get spunked in like residual energy, heat, whatever. This analogy for the back squat versus a hack squat, it's not 97% efficient to do a back squat. It's more like, if you do a back squat, bearing in mind the light resembles tension on the quads because we wanted big quads, it would more be like maybe even 50% of the tension goes onto the quads, but the other 50% is used maintaining your lower back, maintaining your chest upright so you can keep that neutral spine. It would be thinking about how deep I can go down, because of otherwise what's known as a butt wink, where you just don't have the range of motion in your hips, so you compensate by your lower back rounding and butt winking, so you lose the tension there. You're also then thinking about, do I have the ankle mobility at the front, because when I go down, if I don't, I can't stay on my heels, so my feet will come up onto my toes to compensate for the fact that I don't have the ankle mobility. So there's a shit ton of stuff going on whilst you're doing a back squat, versus when you're doing a hack squat, it's just a case of plant your heels. Most of the hack squats are set up with a platform like that, so your heels are elevated anyway, so that's not an issue. You can lean back against the whole pad, take all the tension off your torso, and the only thing you need to worry about is bending from the hip and the knee. So there'd be a hell of. Don't get me wrong, you could still, on the way down, you could still curl yourself up to come back up like an absolute retard. But as long as you pin yourself to the hands, pull the chest up, you're gonna be fine. So let's say a hack squat is 90% energy efficient for a training the quads. So just think of that analogy when you're doing your exercises. I'm doing this exercise. Is there a better option? I'm doing a barbell bent over row. Should I support my chest if I just want to train my upper back instead of having to work my lower back, my glutes, and my hamstrings? Food for thought, isn't it? We're then going to move on to number 2, which is the exercise loadable? And that also comes off the back of it being stable. Because the more stable it is, like, you're not having to work to stabilize the exercise. So you could stick a shit ton of more load on there. Now again, is it better to have is it better to use stability, or is it better to stick more load on? It depends. I would say it's important to have a base level of stability. So I would actually program dumbbell shoulder press, dumbbell incline chest press. You are going to get some stability, and we'll go on to why that exercise is good for number 3. But also then it's not as loadable if you can use a plate loaded machine that is an incline press, because we've taken stability out of the equation. If you can put more load through the working muscle, I'm not speaking about more tension across the global area, because if you use a dumbbell, okay, you've got a dumbbell that's X weight and you've got this like a challenging weight on the chest press plate loaded machine, your stability from the surrounding areas of the joints is going to have to work a hell of a lot harder. On the plate loading machine, it's not going to have to, because it's stable. So you could put more load directly on the working muscle. Now, not always is more load more tension, but all things being equal, technique being equal, range of motion being equal, you would be able to put more tension through the working muscle on the plate loading machine because of its stability and then its loadability, the fact it's on just the target muscle. I'm not saying one is better than the other, let me be clear on that. But what I am saying is one can give you the option to put more load for it. More load can result in more tension, aka then more repair and growth. Just something to think about again. Number 3, does the exercise have good range of motion? So let's go back to incline pressing for the chest. Yeah, let's say you've got, I won't even say machine here, I'll say you've got a dumbbell option or a barbell option. Now, both are good, and you would even say that the barbell option would be more loadable. Like, it's a fact, you can lift more with a barbell than you can with a dumbbells. However, something to then think about is which one has better range of motion. This is the distance you can travel through the series of joint that is working. Now, the more distance you can travel with the load, the greater the stretch will be on the muscle. The greater the stretch, then the more tension we can put on it, and the more distance traveled, the more we work that muscle, the more that muscle will grow. If you only go like this versus this, it's going to be drastically different outcome. Of course it is. So one thing the barbell does is it's very loadable, but it doesn't give you as much range of motion, which means as you come down, when the bar meets the chest here, you're technically done. Now that's the difference may not be drastic between that and the dumbbell, but what is drastic and what really affects range of motion is your arm path. Now, because a barbell is straight like this, you have to grip it like this, which naturally it wants to push your elbows outwards in this position here. If my elbows are out here, I can go into here, okay? But there's so much tension on the shoulder, and it's just nasty on the shoulder for me to get lower. So actually, there is less range between those two exercises just because of the fact it forces my arms into a certain position. Is that going to be for everybody? No, because every human being has a different structure, like collarbone width, etc. But for me personally, that's a problem, and it might be for you. Now, with the dumbbells, what can we do? Well, we can manipulate our position of how our wrist is, so we can turn them so the discs are now facing this way. We can bring our elbows in at that 45 degree, and when we're here, we can then pull down as deep as we want. Look how much deeper I can get now in this position here, and my arm got to stay in a healthier position, which then the arm path, I can then converge back across my chest. With a barbell, because of how it's so fixed, I'm almost forced to just push upwards as opposed to converge inwards. So that is food for thought on range of motion. The same would go with when people say, I'll do wide pull-ups because it gives you a wider back. Like, no, that's the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my life. That will not give you bigger lats, and this is why. You grip wide like this. You with wide, you can only pull down to what, maybe here? Because you're not going to be able to, if your arm is fixed to that bar, you're not going to be able to pull it all the way in here without you going, then that's not going to happen, is it? But if you gripped here, just outside of the line of your shoulder, and you pull, where's your elbow going to go now? Pretty much all the way down to your hip. Which one shortened the lat more? This one or this one? What do you want to do? You want to stretch and shorten that muscle under load to get it to blow up. So wider is not better. What's better is what's your structure and how much can I shorten said muscle. Then we need to think about where is the exercise the hardest. So on a dumbbell lateral raise, the exercise is hardest at the top. Now, on the same exercise, ask yourself, where are you weakest? The answer would also be you're always weakest in the shortened position, which is when the muscle is fully contracted. You're always strongest in the lengthened position, and then you are fairly strong in the mid position. Now, when you do this exercise, if you are weakest where it is hardest, you're not going to be able to move as much load. So it's also worth thinking, can I flip that on its head and challenge the muscle in different positions? And I'm going to show you an exercise in that specific analogy of the lateral raise, how you can make it harder in different muscle lengths. But it's always important to understand, where is the exercise the hardest? Because ultimately, that is where I would need to put most of my focus on. If you're doing a standing bicep curl, the exercise is hardest when your arm is at 90 degrees, because the distance from where the load is to where your bicep is greatest. When you're all the way up here, the distance to here is pretty minimal, and when your arm is straight, there's also no real fucking resistance either, because your joints are stacked. So it's when the joints are furthest away, that's when it's most challenging. So it's important to understand, where is this exercise the hardest? Because if you don't go in with that intent, you won't know when to fucking turn it on. And if you don't know when to turn it on, you'll lose potentially a couple of reps. So it's just food for thought to understand that. And understand, where am I weakest? Always think in the shortened position of an exercise, that is where I'm weakest. So you're going to be able to lift, ultimately, less load. Where that's important is, last year, I was really big on feeling the squeeze. So I was doing loads of chest press that got harder towards the top. Loads of lateral raises that got harder towards the top. That's not the smartest thing, because you are stronger as you get down towards the lengthened position. So that is more loadable. You can lift more load on those exercises. So if I'm only thinking about, the squeeze, the feel at the top, where I'm weakest, I'm just not going to be able to shift as much load through that area, therefore not put as much tension on the pecs as I could do. This is why barbells and dumbbells have been around for so long, because they challenge the muscle in the lengthened position where you can potentially build more load. You can potentially move more load, build more tissue. And that was my point, what I was getting to on the range of motion, where the distance travelled and you end up in the lengthened position where it's hardest. If you could get more into that eccentric in that lengthened position, you're going to challenge the muscle more and potentially make more gains. So it's food for thought and things to think about. We're going to go on to some examples now of exercises and where you can think, right, I'll swap this out for different ones. I kind of covered a few of them, but I'm going to show you them in real time. So first exercise we're going to show you was filmed in Miami, South Beach. That was a good visit to there for the first time. We've got the dumbbell lateral raise. Now, dumbbell lateral raise. As you see it, stable? Not really. I mean, you stood on your own 2 feet moving the load. Loadable? Kind of. Not really. Forearms probably going to fail first. Range of motion, spot on. Very, very good range of motion. Hardest where I'm weakest. Where's it most challenging? Well, it's most challenging at the top, and I'm the most weakest in the shortened position. Okay, so is that exercise bad? No. Should you take out your program? No. Should you do it? Yes, but is there other exercises you should do with it? Absolutely. Let me show you which one. So, it lacks stability. How can we make it more stable? We can support the rest of our body so we can just focus on the working muscle. Loadable? I mean, it was fairly loadable. How can we make it more loadable? We can take the tension off our hands and just lock it to our forearms. Range of motion? Range of motion will be the same on this. Where is the exercise hardest? Well, actually, as you do this exercise, the tension, and I will play the video, the tension will start to drop off as you get towards the top. So it has a better, well, not a better, but it has a different resistance curve where it's still going to be hard towards the bottom, which you're not going to get that with a dumbbell because the joint's being stacked. But here the cables want to snap you back this way, so you're still going to get tension on the working muscle. Now, also, because of the resistance curve slightly flips, where you're weakest is not where you're going to fail with it, where this is hardest, if that makes sense. So you will be able to lift more load because you are able to challenge the muscle where you are also stronger. So you'll have sneaked out a bit of gain on the muscle there by being clever with using a different mechanism. So this is why cables are pretty darn good. And just want you to show a little bonus tip. Just watch this set now. So we're doing the exercise, look at the tempo, and we've been through tempo on this channel plenty of times, so slow the way down, get the pause. Now I want you to watch what happens when I can't finish the rep. So I think that might be the last complete rep. We go to here, yeah, bang. We're losing range, but we keep tension. And that's how you just completely toast off the muscle. Do this on your third set, lose the range, keep the tension, toast, 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 till you've absolutely finished it off. So that is the lateral raise. The next one we're going to look at is rowing. And this is a big one because most people's upper back is probably one of their weakest areas. So let's fix that with some better options. So 100% I've shown you this video if you've been on the channel before, but let's go back to the barbell bent over row. The barbell bent over row, this would be a straight bar with the load on it, and you would be stood on the floor, so your feet would be straight down here. So what we've done is we've just put a chest pad in, and now we can support our torso, which means we can drive our chest against that pad, so when we pull here, we're not going to curl upwards, which would naturally happen. My glutes aren't having to work to hold me in position, neither are any part of my legs at all. So the brace in here has all been taken out, same with the midsection. Why is that better? It's just more stable, which means it's just more loadable. If I wanted global strength, fair enough, do a barbell bent over row, but to be honest, it's a very advanced exercise anyway. Unless you've been training for years and years and years, I never program it. I wouldn't program it for myself for the reasons I'm telling you. And I honestly just don't think it's a good exercise unless your overall goal is just to be strong like a fucking bull and move as much load on that as possible. So, we've made it more stable. We've made it more loadable. Now look at how we can execute. Remember, if you're feeling your biceps on your back, it's because you're moving your hands first instead of your shoulders. Shrug the load, then drive the elbow back, and then come back out in the opposite direction. So you shrug the load up here. Now to release, allow the hands to then move first, then the elbows to follow. The last bit, the back gets pulled apart, and we put that tension on the working muscle. The goal is to train the upper back. If you just want to train the upper back, support everything else, take grip strength out the equation, and just think about, if I'm telling you, move your shoulders, then your elbows, if you're trying to do that without everything else being stable and supported, you're going to have a really fucking long and hard day trying to do this. And cognitively, it'll be really difficult to try and execute that. So honestly, you could do this with dumbbells, just get a bench, make sure it's supported, and then train the exercise. Don't think you need to do deadlifts to get a big back. You can get a big back with this exercise with it being supported. But I feel like people don't want to do machines and support stuff because they just think it's soft. But honestly, if it's the smarter way to train when you actually think about things from an analytical standpoint. The next one we're going to look at is the squat, but we've already kind of really spoke about it, but I'll show you anyway. So the squat, stable. Not really. Loadable? I would say so. Good range of motion? Depends. Generally, it depends on the athlete doing it. Where's it hardest? It's hardest pretty much right at the bottom because that's where your joints are furthest away from each other. Where are you weakest? Also, at the bottom, you're definitely not weakest. Or you would normally be weaker in the shortened position, actually, but the shortened position, there is no resistance because of the length, because of the load here. Good for building overall strength. Take 180 for a quick spin. Absolutely. Could I do that for hypertrophy for loads of reps? Probably not. What's a better alternative that we can do? Let me show you now. So that was from my powerlifting days. Little ego boost, I get to show you me squatting 180. I've done more, but this is not the point of the video, so I'm not going to go into it. But here we have the hack squat. Now with the hack squat, still shift a good amount of load for it. Look how much supported that is. Look at the tempo I'm doing with this. Bear in mind, if you took away the frame, there's what, 4 plates aside, 160, I think. Yeah, 160, okay. And we're doing this with tempo, we're doing this for reps. Like the tension that's going through that is brilliant. Now, you could say to me, well, what about a leg press? Leg press, very good exercise. Very, very good exercise. The only thing I want you to think of, if your goal is quads, is leg press is good, but where do you get more range of motion? Where can you close the knee joint? On a hack squat more or on a leg press? Now it will depend on which brand you're using, but generally speaking, on a leg press, your hip joint will close up before your knee joint will, just because of like the seated position that you're in. So if you can find a hack squat, you can challenge the knee a little bit more. And that's going to allow you just to really toast off the quads. If you're a female, you want big glutes, like a leg press is going to be absolutely the holy grail for you. It's even more loadable than this, just because of the angle you've put yourself in. So as it even gets tough, we're fixated everywhere. We can still keep the tempo. We get the pause, drive through the heels, bang, 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 and away you go. So if you've got a hack squat, brilliant. If you haven't got a hack squat, this is not gold standard, but it will work infinitely better than doing a normal back squat. And if you wanted to challenge the quads, but also leg press is good, but you wanted pure quads, doing a hack squat on a Smith machine actually works quite well. Now, I know you can say, but your lower back's not really supported. And I do kind of agree, it could be more supported. But if you think about with the Smith machine, you can step forwards and you can still lean back against that bar, which means as you come back up, you're going to push almost backwards against the bar, so you are a lot more stable because you're fighting against the way the machine is moving anyway. The machine is kind of holding you up. It's just that your lower back is not supported. So that would be like the happy medium in between, where you can have my blessing to do it if you haven't got a hack squat, but it's better than doing a barbell back squat. But again, what also then comes into play is, are you butt winking at the bottom? Do you have the mobility through the heels? Are you elevating your heels so you can get lower? All these other factors have to come in play. I'm just saying the Smith machine hack squat version would be better than the standard barbell back squat if you don't have a hack squat. That's why I'm saying this, because appreciate not every gym has a fancy hack squat. I am aware of that. And the last one is bench press, but we've spoke about bench press, so I will not go into that anymore. What I will go into is a example of how I program and why, because I think that'll be more useful for you. Okay, so here we head over to the OneFit app. Shout out to them. This is the app I used for my clients, for the guys within the Gorilla Platoon. And this is a typical program I will have people on. So the split is push, pull, legs, rest day, chest and back, arms and delts, and then another rest day. Because for guys that want to build an aesthetic physique, we want to prioritize that upper body. Now, I'll just go through the exercises that we program and why I think they're worthy of programming. So we roll with a pec deck as opposed to dumbbell flies or even cable flies, just because cable flies, ideally wheel a bench over there, but most people aren't going to do that because it's fucking effort. So a pec deck would be gold standard because it's already back supported, chest supported. They're on fixed pin machines, so it really just focus on just bringing the bicep to the center of the pec and contracting the muscle. Incline dumbbell press, because I want to focus on that lengthened position. Good range of motion, maybe not as loadable, but then I also have a flat machine chest press that is plate loaded to then capture that as well. Pin loaded shoulder press machine, so again we're loaded up with a machine. Tricep dips. Now tricep dips are very, very good exercise for the long head of the tricep and obviously like your overall global tricep. But what I was doing, and I've made a video about this, I was doing overhead cable tricep extension. Not a bad exercise. Very good range of motion. Fairly stable, you could say, maybe. But the problem was, it just wasn't that loadable. Like, you're just not that strong from here to here. And with the cable, it challenges you towards the top when your arm is actually getting straightened out. Now, why tricep dips are so good are, you can load the shit out of them. Once you can do your body weight for X amount of reps, you add load to them and you continue to get stronger. Like on the incline dumbbell press, challenges the muscle in the length of position. Same with the tricep dip. So it's going to hit it at the bottom where you're also stronger, and that we know when we challenge muscle in the length of position, we can get a good amount of gain. So that is why tricep dips are in there, and I've really found my triceps start to actually blow up this year. Like if we look at this side picture, honestly, they were really not like that a few months ago, but these exercises I'm going to show you are pretty sweet and helping them out. Dumbbell lateral raises are in there, because remember I said I will not just do only cable, I also want to hit the muscle where I'm weakest, but I'm thinking with intent. Wait until I come into arms and delts there, you're going to understand why. Rope tricep push down, but actually I've started to use a bar. The reason I use a bar instead of a rope is because of the surface area of the bar is greater, so I can actually just move more load while still keeping my arm fixed to hit the tricep. That is why I've programmed with a bar. It just doesn't say bar, so we write it down as a rope, but we know it means bar. When it comes on to the pull day, single arm pull down. You've seen, if you've a returning viewer of this channel, you've seen me show you that exercise countless amount of times. Why we do that is, it's supported hand on a bench. You're on a bench facing the cable and you're just driving the elbow down towards the hip. Aligning with that working muscle, brilliant amounts of range of motion, loadable through the cable stack because everything's supported, and stable because again, everything's supported. The beloved T-bar rope I've just shown you, we actually do cable shrugs, but they didn't have the cable shrugs on there, so we called it dumbbell shrugs. And again, same principle as almost like that hack squat Smith machine. You get the cable stack, you lean backwards against it, and then you can just solely focus on driving and challenge that working muscle. Lat pull down, bicep curl preacher. So again, support the back of the arm to challenge the working muscle. Rear delt flies, same as the pec deck, and then behind the back, dual cable curls, and this is on a seated machine, and then we're into decline ab crunch. For the leg day, leg extensions, lion hamstring curl, hack squat on the Smith machine, just to show evidence of that. So I don't have a hack squat in my gym. I was running leg press for a while, but actually realised I don't want a massive arse because it's already as big as it is, so I want to really focus on the quads. So here is what we're doing here. Deep into the pocket, drive through the heels. Now bear in mind I've been squatting for fucking 12 years, so like it's not really so much of an issue. Would a hack squat be better? Of course it would. Do I have a hack squat? No. So I have to run with this instead. And actually I'm glad to show you this because I don't believe every gym will have a hack squat, so at least you have another alternative that's different to the barbell back squat that is a little bit more stable and loadable. How could you make this even more stable? Wrap a belt around your midsection. So look at the range of motion you get on here. Go down deep, get the pause in the pocket. Sorry for covering it up. Get the pause. Sit in there. Good challenge on the range of motion. Driving through the heels. If you have poor ankle mobility, remember, elevate the heels. RDLs here are done on a Smith machine as well instead of with a barbell. Why? Because with the Smith machine, it's on a fixed line. I don't need to worry about trying to stabilize everything. I just hold the bar with straps, and I just need to think about my hips going backwards and my chest going forwards, and we challenge the working muscle. Bulgarian split squats, again on a Smith machine, more stable, more loadable. We were doing it with dumbbells, but we maxed out the dumbbell rack, so then we had to move over to a Smith machine. Chest and back day. Pec deck again, flat dumbbell this time instead of flat incline, but then an incline machine press. Pull-ups are in there. Again, very, very loadable. Once you can do your body weight, strap a belt around you and away you go. Again, cable shrugs, seated cable row, chest supported of course. Single arm lower lat row. You've seen that on the channel as well, same as the pull down. Arms supported on a bench. You're obviously all on a bench to make it stable and loadable. And then as we spoke about the beloved arm and delt day, tricep dips in there again. This is where we move the most amount of load because we put them first when we're freshest. Dumbbell shoulder press, dumbbell hammer curl, seated. seated lateral raise machine. You may have seen these beautiful bits of kit. They're like the cable, but they've already been set up in that way. Standing cable curl, bar push down again, the lying cable lateral raise that we've just seen, and then we're into ab crunch. So that is generally how we program in order to make those sweet gains. That's why we do it. I believe we've covered how to lift weights properly and what to think about when you're building your program and why you need to do them. So I hope you found this video useful. If you did, subscribe. If you disagree with anything or you want to talk about things, drop it in the comments below. I'll respond to all comments, as you can see from previous videos. And if you want to work specifically with me, either just book a call or message me on IG, and we will roll from there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.